Welcome to the channel.
Dad texted, "Don't come to the anniversary party. The family feels you're too toxic." My sister reacted with a heart emoji. I replied, "No problem. Just removed my card from the hotel booking and caterer." 4 days later my phone was melting down with missed calls. And a message from Mom, "Fix this now." Started with a text from my dad, sent at 6:42 in the morning like it was some kind of casual memo. "Don't come to the anniversary party. The family feels you're too toxic." I stared at it for a few seconds, convinced I was reading it wrong. I blinked a couple times, scrolled up to see if this was part of a longer thread, something that gave context. Nope. That was the whole thing. My first thought wasn't even anger. It was, did he seriously send this before his morning coffee? Then, like some cherry on top, Rachel reacted with a heart emoji. Not a thumbs up. Not even a confused question mark. A heart. Like this was all cute and loving and made perfect sense. We all knew I had planned the anniversary party. Everyone. I'd booked the hotel suite under my name because Mom claimed she couldn't deal with logistics, and Dad still writes checks at grocery stores. I picked the caterer after driving 2 hours to try the food myself, put the deposit down, and even helped my parents design the invites. I did it because they asked me to. Because I'm the oldest. As I always do. But I didn't respond with questions or anger. I just typed "no problem. Just removed my card from the hotel booking and caterer. Send it." Watched the little read receipt pop up under Dad's name. Then under Rachel's. Then nothing. Not a single reply. I went to work. I ate dinner. I watched a documentary about wolves. Still nothing. 4 days passed. 4 full days. That was enough time for the anniversary to implode on itself. The hotel sent a cancellation confirmation to my email, CC'd me on an invoice for the lost deposit since I'd negotiated a pay later clause for flexibility. The caterer posted a vague but shady Instagram story about unreliable clients. I didn't say a word to anyone. Not even when Aunt Darlene emailed me directly asking, "Is the party still happening?" I'm confused. Then Saturday hit. My phone started buzzing before I was even out of bed. 23 missed calls. 5 voicemails. 1 message from Mom that said, "Fix this now." That's all it said. Not "call me." Not "let's talk." Not even a "how are you?" Just a command. I set the phone down and made myself pancakes. That probably sounds petty, but I wasn't being dramatic. I just wasn't rushing to clean up another mess they created. Especially not one they pushed me out of with a 6-word text. Later that day Rachel sent a message. "I didn't think you'd actually cancel everything. That's the dramatic." I stared at it for a long time. It was funny in a messed up way. For years I'd been the family's emotional airbag. The one who smoothed over fights, planned holidays, paid for last-minute emergencies. I was useful. But not loved. Not even liked, really. Just expected. And now that I stopped being useful, I was toxic. I didn't reply to Rachel. Mom showed up at my apartment that night. I live in a small complex with a buzzer and she pressed it over and over. I didn't answer. After 15 minutes she left. No note. No apology. I should have been crying. A year ago I would have opened the door, said sorry for upsetting her, offered to call the hotel and see if I could fix things. But this time I didn't. This time I let the silence do the talking. And for the first time in my life I felt a kind of calm I didn't recognize. Something like self-respect. This was only the beginning. By Sunday afternoon the cracks started to show. I went out for a walk, left my phone at home, and when I came back an hour later, it looked like it had been in a car accident. 34 missed calls. Voicemails. Texts that bounced from passive-aggressive to straight-up begging. A group message had popped up again. This time not just Dad and Rachel but aunts, uncles, cousins. It was like someone had pulled the fire alarm. "Uncle Ron, so is the party cancelled or not? I already booked my days off." "Cousin Ellie, why would you back out the week of? That's selfish." "Aunt Cheryl, can someone clarify if I'm flying in for nothing?" And then Rachel again trying to pivot. "Look, things were said. But let's be adults. Just get it back on track and let's move on." No one mentioned Dad's text. No one questioned why I was called toxic in the first place. It was like that part had been deleted from everyone's memory. They just wanted the show back on the road. They wanted the food, the fancy ballroom, the weekend away. And they didn't care who got steamrolled to make it happen. I didn't reply. Instead, I did something that would have terrified me a year ago. I opened my banking app, looked through all the shared expenses still linked to my name. Subscriptions, auto payments, family services, and started cutting the cords. Gone. The Netflix account everyone used but no one paid for. Gone. Amazon Prime, which Mom used like it was a vending machine. Gone. The DoorDash pass Dad ordered dinner with every Friday night. Gone. The backup card on Rachel's Uber account. I'd forgotten that one even existed. By Monday morning they noticed. Mom texted, "The TV says our subscription expired. Is something wrong with the payment?" Dad, an hour later. "Amazon's asking me to verify a new card. Why did you change it?" Rachel, "Are you serious?" Petty much. I didn't answer. I went to work, grabbed coffee, responded to emails, like the world hadn't just flipped upside down for them. And I didn't feel bad. I didn't even feel shaky. I felt clear. That night they tried to log into my PayPal. I got a security alert saying someone had entered the wrong password 5 times. Then another alert that someone had tried to reset it. I changed everything. Emails, passwords, recovery questions. I even pulled my emergency card off my parents' pharmacy account, the one they'd insisted on keeping for medical stuff. I knew what it was really for. They'd used it last Christmas to buy an air fryer. By Wednesday things turned desperate. Mom sent a voice note. Her voice was calm but clipped. "We didn't realize how much you were handling. We could have talked. But this is too much. Come over so we can fix it together." She didn't say sorry, but it was close. For her that was practically a billboard. That night I got a text from my cousin Lucy. 16 years old, quiet, always ignored at family functions like I used to be. She wrote, "Heard what happened. I'm glad you stood up for yourself. No one ever does in this family." I stared at that message longer than I'd stared at Dad's original text. It was the first honest thing anyone had said since this started. Maybe the only honest thing. And it came from the one person who wasn't trying to get something out of me. Later that night Dad tried calling again. I watched it ring out. Then he texted, "You made your point. Enough is enough." But I hadn't done it to make a point. I just stopped doing what none of them ever thanked me for. That wasn't a point. That was survival. The next morning I got an email from the hotel manager. He said someone had tried to rebook the event suite in my name but was flagged because the card didn't go through. I didn't even need to ask who it was. I almost laughed. Almost. They were scrambling. And for the first time they were learning how hard it was to organize something without me behind the scenes, pulling every string. Not because I owed them but because they expected it. Always had. But not anymore. By Thursday the silence got weird. Not peaceful, intentional. The kind of quiet that comes when people are regrouping, plotting their next move. No texts, no calls, no passive-aggressive voicemails. Not even Rachel, which was unsettling in its own way. She usually can't go 2 days without dropping some cryptic one-liner designed to spark chaos. At first I enjoyed it. The calm. I actually slept in, read a book cover to cover for the first time in months, and cooked dinner without checking my phone every 5 minutes. But by Friday I started to sense the build-up. The silence wasn't surrender. It was prep work. Then it began. First, a call from an unknown number I let go to voicemail. It was the hotel's event coordinator. She was very polite, clearly trying not to get in the middle of a family war. She said someone had attempted to rebook the suite using my name and the same event ID. But the card didn't go through, and since I was listed as the primary planner, she needed my written approval. She added carefully, "Also, your family asked if you'd be attending after all." They were circling back. I didn't reply. Instead, I went about my day pretending like none of this had happened. That evening, Megan and I met for drinks. I told her about the attempted rebooking. She stared at me like I just said my family tried to clone me. "They're actually trying to go through you again?" she asked. "After calling you toxic?" I nodded. "But now they're acting like nothing happened. Just hoping I'll fall back into place." She said something that stuck. "They're not ready to let go of the version of you that always says yes." But this time I wasn't going back. Saturday morning my phone buzzed with a different kind of message. It was from Dad. Not a demand. Not a vague one-liner. A real message. "You've been thinking. It's clear we mishandled everything. We shouldn't have excluded you. That was unfair. We'd like to talk, all of us, calmly. And yes, I'm saying sorry." I stared at it like it was written in another language. Then Mom followed. "We know we leaned on you too hard. We got used to it. That's not fair to you and it's not who we want to be. Please give us a chance to make it right." So I didn't answer. I just watched. That night I got an email from Mom. Subject line, "Starting over." She wrote a real apology. Not perfect, not dramatic, just real. She said they'd built the family around convenience. Around my availability. My reliability. And when I finally broke that pattern, it exposed everything. She wrote, "We never respected the weight you were carrying because we got comfortable watching you carry it. We're sorry. It's not your job to fix things anymore. Let us do the work." I read it twice. Then a third time. I didn't know how to respond, so I didn't. I just sat there taking in the words I never thought I'd hear from her. Then came the final twist that night. They booked a family getaway. A cabin in North Carolina just for the weekend. 2 nights out in the woods, space to talk. They sent me the confirmation and wrote that it was fully covered. No planning, no obligations. Just a chance to breathe. Then Mom added one more sentence. Your brother's coming too. And we've already spoken to him. He knows things need to change. That part threw me. Andrew had said nothing through all of this. Not during the fallout, not during the party disaster, not even a reaction to the cancelled hotel. That was just like him. Detached, critical, always a step back from the mess but ready to judge it. Growing up, he treated me like an inconvenience. At best, a burden. At worst, a threat to his version of how the family should work. And now he was suddenly part of the repair plan? It didn't add up. Unless my parents were actually serious. Because if they'd gotten Andrew to show up and talk, that wasn't a gesture. That was a full-on strategy shift. For the first time in my life, I wasn't the one being asked to hold the family together. They were asking if they could try. I didn't tell them I was coming. I just showed up. Part of me wanted to wait until the last minute so I could back out guilt-free if it didn't feel right. But something about Mom's letter and Andrew being involved kept pulling at me. So I packed a small bag, booked a rental car, and drove 6 hours through foggy roads and unfamiliar hills until the GPS beeped. Your destination is on the right. The cabin was bigger than I expected. Wooden, tucked between tall pines, smoke curling from the chimney. There were already 2 cars in the driveway. Lights in the windows. I sat in the car for a while before getting out, long enough for my hands to start sweating even though it was 40 degrees out. When I finally knocked, Mom opened the door immediately, like she'd been waiting behind it. She didn't hug me, didn't force a smile. Just opened it wider and said, "Come in if you're ready." The inside was warm, cluttered in the way rentals always are. Generic decor, too many throw pillows, a weird painting of ducks in the hallway. Rachel was on the couch pretending not to look nervous. Dad was in the kitchen stirring chili like it was a formal event. It smelled like cumin and awkward tension. But Andrew wasn't there. That alone made me suspicious. He was the whole reason I hesitated about coming. We hadn't spoken in almost a year, and even then it was just cold holiday greetings at a table full of people who liked pretending we were normal. We all ate together. The food was decent though no one was really hungry. Mom tried to make small talk about the weather, then the cabin's amenities, then the fire pit outside. No one brought up the anniversary. Or the text. Or the fact that I'd basically pulled the plug on an entire event with one sentence. Eventually, Dad cleared his throat and said we needed to talk. We sat around the kitchen table and to their credit no one danced around it. Mom started. She admitted they'd taken me for granted. That the entire party planning had been dumped on me without question because, as she put it, you're the only one we trust to get it right, and somehow that turned into us expecting it. She paused. Then said the part one didn't expect. When we called you toxic we weren't talking about you. We were talking about how guilty we felt. That guilt made us defensive. Made us cruel. Dad followed. Said he was embarrassed by the way he handled it. That he was angry the party was falling apart and I was the easiest person to blame. Rachel apologized too. She said she reacted with the heart emoji because she thought I wouldn't actually pull out. That she assumed I'd still show up, still fix everything like always. And when I didn't, she realized how much weight I'd been carrying without complaining. I was silent through most of it. Not because I didn't want to speak but because it felt so strange to be seen. Even if it was late. Even if it was only happening because I'd finally pulled away. Then just as the conversation started to slow, headlights lit up the window. A car door slammed. Another. I looked up, confused. Rachel leaned to peek out the blinds. Andrew. I wasn't ready. He walked in without knocking, carrying a duffel bag and a 6-pack of some obscure local beer. He gave me a look, not hostile, not warm. Just unreadable. He nodded once, dropped the bag by the door and said he got lost coming off the freeway. I didn't speak. Neither did he. He went to the kitchen, opened one of the beers and sat across from me. The tension was instant. He didn't make eye contact. Just stared at the table for a few seconds, then said flatly, I didn't come here to argue. I came because Mom asked me to. And because I talked to Lucy. That caught me off guard. Our cousin. The quiet one who texted me last week to say I was brave. The one no one ever paid attention to at family gatherings unless she was in the way. Andrew continued. She said you were the only one in this family who ever saw her. That when her parents forgot her birthday last year, you were the only person who sent a card. That you talked to her like she matters. I didn't know that. I didn't know what to say. I didn't even know he and Lucy spoke. He glanced up at me finally. I never really gave you credit. I always thought you were trying to control everything. But maybe you were just trying to hold it together. As no one else would. The room was silent. Then Andrew added, quieter, I think I owe you a lot of apologies. I don't expect you to care. But I'm here. I couldn't remember the last time he said anything like that. Or anything kind really. We didn't hug. No one got emotional. But something changed that night. They didn't just apologize. They took responsibility. And Andrew being there saying I'm here, not to argue, not to fight, but to try, felt like a page had turned that none of us saw coming. And for the first time in my adult life, I didn't feel like the maid of the family or the fixer or the walking checkbook. I felt like someone they were finally trying to keep. I woke up before everyone else, which used to mean I'd start breakfast, prep coffee, get everything ready so no one had to lift a finger. But this morning I just sat. I made a single cup of coffee, took it out to the porch, wrapped myself in one of those scratchy cabin blankets, and listened to the wind move through the trees. For once I didn't feel tense. I didn't feel like I had to be 10 steps ahead of everyone else just to keep the day from falling apart. I didn't feel like their default employee. It was quiet. Almost too quiet. About an hour later, the door creaked open and Rachel came out. I thought maybe she'd go for a walk or pretend she hadn't seen me, but she sat down next to me. She held her coffee with both hands like she was bracing for impact. We didn't say anything for a while. Then quietly she said, I used to think you liked doing everything. That you were controlling or just obsessed with being in charge. But you were just doing what no one else would. I didn't say anything. He kept going. I didn't realize how selfish that made me. I never even offered to help. Not once. She looked down at her cup. I guess I was jealous. You were the reliable one. The one everyone called. And I told myself you liked it that way so I wouldn't have to feel bad about disappearing. For a second I didn't know how to respond. Not because I was angry, I wasn't. I just didn't expect it. Rachel had spent her whole life pretending she was the reasonable one. The balanced one. Now she was finally owning the ways she let me drown. Inside the cabin I heard movement. The clatter of dishes, the low murmur of Dad's voice. Then Mom's laugh. Not loud, not fake. Just normal. By the time I came inside, breakfast was already on the table. Eggs, toast, coffee refilled. I didn't do any of it. No one asked me to. That alone felt like a shift. After we ate, Mom brought out a folder. Thick, dog-eared, stuffed with receipts and notebook paper. We started putting together a budget, she said. A real one this time. We made a list of everything that was connected to you, and we changed it. She handed me a sheet with new passwords and account logins. Streaming services. Delivery apps. Even their pharmacy login. Everything was now in their name, paid from their own accounts. We didn't realize how much we were leaning on you financially, she said. We've been careless. And entitled. That's over now. Then Dad said they were selling the timeshare. I blinked. The timeshare. The one they clung to like it was a family heirloom. The same one they refused to give up even when they were months behind on payments and borrowed from me without asking. It's time, he said. We can't afford it. And we shouldn't be asking you to cover our mistakes. I just nodded. I didn't need a speech. I didn't even need a thank you. I just needed them to stop. We all went for a walk after that, down a trail behind the cabin that opened into a small clearing. It was quiet except for the occasional rustle in the trees. We didn't talk much, but it felt different this time. No one was rushing ahead or checking their phones or complaining about bugs. They were just present. That night we lit a fire outside. Real firewood, not the prepackaged stuff. Dad actually chopped some earlier, which was a strange sight in itself. We sat around the pit passing marshmallows and cheap wine, and I kept waiting for the moment when things would tip back into old patterns. But it didn't happen. Instead something else did. Andrew stood up, disappeared inside and came back a few minutes later with a small box in his hands. He handed it to me without saying anything. Inside was a necklace, silver chain, simple charm shaped like a key. I stared at it then looked at him. Lucy helped me pick it, he said. She said you're the only one who ever made her feel like part of the family. I figured, if anyone should hold the key to this whole mess, it's probably you. That hit me harder than anything else had. Not because of the necklace, but because Andrew actually listened. He didn't make a big speech. He didn't try to act like we were suddenly best friends. He just acknowledged what I meant to someone. What I'd done when no one else noticed. And for Andrew that was massive. That night, after everyone went to bed, I sat in the dark living room alone for a while. I looked around at the mugs on the counter, the worn-out blankets, the fire still smoldering in the pit. I didn't feel like a guest. But I didn't feel like their crutch anymore either. For once I was just Mary. And it was enough. We left the cabin on Sunday afternoon. No tension, no forced group photo, no tearful last-minute speeches about how this weekend changed everything. Just quiet packing, a few shared leftovers, and everyone going their own way without chaos or obligation. Rachel hugged me briefly. Mom told me to drive safe. Dad patted my shoulder like he didn't quite know how to say more. Andrew just gave me a small nod. I drove home alone with the radio off. I didn't need music. I needed silence. That kind of silence that isn't empty, but earned. Halfway back to the city, I stopped at a diner I used to pass on long drives but never went into. It had big windows, cheap booths, and the kind of laminated menus that never change. I ordered pancakes at 3 o'clock in the afternoon and sat by myself, watching cars roll past on the wet highway. I didn't check my phone once. No one was asking for money. No one needed me to book a reservation or explain how to reset their passwords. I wasn't prepping for another family event I wasn't allowed to enjoy. I wasn't apologizing for existing in a way that inconvenienced someone else. I was just eating pancakes, alone, and free. When I got back to my apartment, I expected to feel tired. I didn't. I felt still. That kind of rare calm that only shows up when your body finally accepts that the fight is over. The week that followed was strange in its simplicity. There were no emergencies, no cold shoulders, no random charges hitting my card. The family group chat came back to life slowly. Not with drama, just photos. Rachel sent a picture of her dog in a sweater. Mom posted a blurry shot of her garden. Dad sent a picture of the grill with the caption "trying again." Even Andrew, who never posted anything, dropped a photo of a book Lucy had recommended, tagged with "not bad actually." It was bizarre and refreshing. Then something unexpected happened. At work, my manager pulled me aside midweek. Said she'd noticed a shift. That I was clearer, more focused, even more confident in meetings. I didn't realize it, but apparently I'd been showing up differently, because for the first time in a long time, I wasn't showing up for everyone else before myself. She mentioned a new internal position. More creative control. Better pay. A chance to lead a small team. She said, "I think you're ready. You just had to stop making yourself small." It took everything in me not to cry. I walked home that evening under a sky that looked cleaner somehow. Like the world noticed I'd cleaned up my space too. When I got inside, I dropped my bag, kicked off my shoes, lit a candle and sat on the couch in silence. The kind of silence that doesn't press down on you, but wraps around you like peace. I picked up the small jewelry box Andrew had given me at the cabin. Inside, the silver chain with the tiny key still sat where I'd left it. Simple. Honest. A small gesture, but heavier than anything he'd said in years. I put it on. And in that moment, I realized it wasn't about forgiveness or reconciliation or some perfect happy ending where we all laugh around a dinner table. It was about balance. About no longer begging to be seen. About walking away when I wasn't respected, and letting people decide on their own whether they wanted to meet me where I stood. They did. Eventually. But not because I begged. Because I stopped. I stopped trying to prove I was worthy. Stopped trying to earn a spot in a family that only called when they needed a credit card or a crisis manager. And by doing that, something shifted. They changed, not all at once, not into perfect people, but into people who finally saw me, who finally listened, who finally learned how to carry their own weight. That night, I looked at myself in the mirror, not searching for anything, just looking. The same face, the same eyes, but something was different. I smiled, not because life was perfect now, but because I finally was enough.